Hey everyone, welcome back to Global Trends, where we break down global headlines and connect the dots so you actually understand what's going on. Now, here is a headline that made a lot of people do a double take. Why did the UAE leave OPEC?
We believe that the world is currently undersupplied, and our exit at this time is the right time for it because it will have a minimum impact on the price, and it will have a minimum impact on our friends at OPEC and OPEC Plus. This has nothing to do with any of our brothers or friends within the group. We've been working together for years and years. We have the highest respect for the Saudis for leading OPEC and OPEC Plus as a major producer.
The United Arab Emirates, one of the world's biggest oil producers, stepping away from one of the most powerful oil alliances on the planet. That's not just news, that's a shift that could ripple across the global economy. So today, let's unpack this properly. No jargon overloaded, no confusion, just a clear, engaging breakdown of what OPEC is, why it matters, why the UAE walked away, and what this could mean for the future of oil prices and global power. First thing first, what exactly is OPEC? Now, OPEC stands for the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries. It was formed in 1960 by countries like Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, and Venezuela. The idea was simple but powerful. Instead of oil producing countries competing against each other and driving prices down, they would coordinate production to control supply and influence global oil prices. Now, think of OPEC like a group chat of major oil producers where they decide how much oil to pump, when to cut productions, when to increase supply. And because oil is still one of the most important resources in the world, used for fuel, transportation, manufacturing, and even plastics, those decisions affect everything from gas prices to inflation worldwide. So yeah, OPEC isn't just some club, it's a major lever of global economic power. So where does the UAE fit into all of this? The UAE has been a key OPEC member for decades. It's one of the top oil producers in the group and has massive reserves, especially in Abu Dhabi. But here's where things get interesting. The UAE isn't just an oil country anymore. Over the years, it has aggressively diversified its economy. Tourism, finance, aviation, renewable energy. Dubai especially has positioned itself as a global business and tech hub, not just an oil economy. So while oil is still important, the UAE has been quietly preparing for a future where oil isn't everything. So why did the UAE leave OPEC? Now, let's get into the real question, and the answer isn't just one reason. It's a combination of strategic, economic, and political factors. One, production limits were holding them back. So OPEC works by setting production quotas, basically telling each member how much oil they're allowed to produce. And here's the issue. The UAE has invested billions of dollars into expanding its oil production capacity. They can produce more oil, but OPEC rules were limiting how much they were allowed to actually sell. Imagine building a bigger factory but being told you can't use it fully. At some point, that starts to feel like a bad deal. So leaving OPEC gives the UAE more freedom to increase production, maximize revenue, compete more aggressively in global markets. Now, secondly, being tensions with OPEC, especially with Saudi Arabia. Let's not pretend everything inside OPEC is smooth. Saudi Arabia is the dominant player, the heavyweight that often sets the tone for decisions. The UAE has at times disagreed with Saudi Arabia's strategies, especially when it comes to production cuts, market control tactics. There were moments where the UAE pushed back, arguing that the system wasn't fair to countries that had invested heavily in expanding capacity. So part of this move could be about asserting independence and not allowing, always following Saudi's lead. Now, third, a shift toward energy diversification. Now, here's the big picture. The world is slowly and sometimes unevenly transitioning away from fossil fuel. Renewable energy, electric vehicles, and climate policies are all reshaping the energy landscape. Now, the UAE sees this coming, and instead of being locked into a system focused mainly on oil price control, they may want more flexibility in oil strategy, freedom to balance oil production with long-term sustainable goals. Ironically, leaving OPEC might actually help them adapt faster to a post-oil future. Now, the third reason is economic strategy. Play your own game. By stepping away from OPEC, the UAE can act more independently in global markets. Now, that means setting its own production levels, responding faster to market demand, negotiating deals without group constraints. It's basically moving from a team strategy to a solo strategy, which can be risky, but also potentially more rewarding. Now, five, not necessarily a complete break. Now, let's keep this grounded. Leaving OPEC doesn't mean the UAE suddenly becomes irrelevant in oil politics. They are still produce oil, influence markets, coordinate informally with the other producers when needed. So this isn't a dramatic we are done forever moment. It's more like changing the rules of engagement. Now, what does this mean for the global economy? All right, so this is where it gets real, because this move could have a ripple effect. One, oil price volatility and increases. OPEC's main strength is coordination. When members act together, they can stabilize prices, at least to some extent. If more countries start acting independently, we could see more supply fluctuation, less predictable pricing, potential price wars. And when oil prices swing, it affects fuel costs, transportation, food prices, inflation. So yes, this could hit everyday people globally. Secondly, could this weaken OPEC? That's the big question. If one major player leaves, it raises doubts. Will others follow? Is OPEC losing influence? Now, OPEC is still powerful, especially with Saudi Arabia at the center. But cracks like this suggest that unity isn't as strong as it once was. Now, thirdly, more competition in oil market. Of course, the UAE going solo means more competition. They might offer competitive pricing, increase output, target new markets aggressively. And that could shake up traditional supply dynamics. Fourth, a signal of long-term change. Now, this isn't just about oil. It's about how countries are preparing for the future. The UAE's move suggests oil dominance isn't guaranteed forever. Countries are rethinking allies, flexibility is becoming more valuable than control. So, is this a smart move? That depends on how you look at it. Pros, more independence, ability to maximize production, flexibility in global markets. Now, cons being less coordinations with major producers, potential market instability, risks of going against powerful allies. Now, it's a calculated gamble, and only time will tell if it pays off. And the final thought, the UAE leaving OPEC isn't just a headline. It's a signal that the global energy system is evolving. Traditional alliances are being tested, and countries are starting to prioritize flexibility over collective control. We might be witnessing the early stages of a new energy order where power is more decentralized and competition becomes, of course, more intense. Now, that's the breakdown, but I want to hear from you. Do you think the UAE made the right move leaving OPEC? Could this weaken OPEC in long run, or is this just a minor shakeup? And what do you think this means for oil prices and the global economy going forward? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's get the conversation going. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share Global Views with Trend, because we're just getting started. And I'll catch you on the next video.